The October mist clung to the bustling streets outside ITV's London studios on the 21st of 2025, casting a silvery veil over the vibrant set of Loose Women, where a devoted crowd of over 150 fans, mostly women in woolly jumpers and wellies, sipped steaming mugs and rustled programs, the air thick with anticipation for a legendary lineup that promised both gravitas and giggles. Christine Lampard, the 46-year-old host, with her impeccable auburn waves and a lilt as soothing as a lullaby, glided onto the stage in a tailored taupe trouser suit that exuded effortless elegance, her smile blooming like heather on the hills as she embraced the applause. Morning, my darlings, welcome to Loose Women, where we're unpacking life's plot twists with a spot of tea and a splash of truth on this misty Monday. She beamed, her Northern Irish inflection infusing the room with instant intimacy, as the panel paraded in, the incisive Kay Adams, 62, her sharp bob framing a sharper witty empathetic Nadia Sawalha, 60, her flowing tresses tumbling like a torrent of tenderness Sunitra Sarkar, 51, shimmering in a silk emerald blouse, and Denise Welch, the 67-year-old Geordie Gale, bursting in last with a fiery floral frock that flared like her formidable frankness, her gaze already gleaming with the glint of a gossip ready to ignite. The episode's essence effused with autumnal allure, tips on taming frizzy locks in the damp, a debate on whether pumpkin spice is passé / copyright, but the undisputed luminary was Sir Anthony Hopkins, the 88-year-old Welsh wizard of the screen, wafting in from his Margam Castle retreat to herald his latest cinematic sorcery, a poignant prison drama titled The Lockdown Labyrinth, where he reprises a lecture-like lie for grappling with ghosts of guilt, his silver mane meticulously coiffed, attired in a bespoke charcoal blazer over a crisp cream shirt and trousers that whispered timeless Titan with every tailored tuck. He ambled onto the sofa with the measured majesty of a maestro mid-overture, security a spectral sentinel, enveloping Christine in a hug that hummed with humility before perching with poise and a puckish grin. Ladies, it's a delight to be devoured by this den of dynamos, mind you don't feed me after midnight, Anthony jested, his valleys velvet laced with a lifetime of laughter, lines from Hannibal's Hiss to Hitchcock's Heights, drawing delighted whoops that whipped the walls. Christine, ensconcing herself adjacent with the allure of an old abbey abbess, ignited the ignition with effusive copyright Lan. Anthony, you magnificent mystery at 88, you're eclipsing us all, from Silence of the Lambs to The Father, Labyrinth, spill the sonnet, what's the scene that stirred your soul, reliving those lockdown laments with a lector lilt? Anthony's eyes, those oceanic orbs of otherworldly insight, ignited with introspection, recounting a riveting reverie of rehearsing monologues in a mock cell, his timbre a torrent of tender truths. Christine, it's the silence screaming echoes of isolation that mirrored my own covent cloister, turning torment into tapestry, acting's alchemy, transmuting madness into mirror. The congregation cooed in choral communion, Kay chiming in with a cheeky bet your co-stars sweating those fava beans. While Nadia nodded with nuance, Sunitra quizzing on his quill works. Denise, however, lounged with a latent leer, her latte latent lore, her penchant for provocative pro-Bessa honed in heated Hancock hexes and Solomon skirmishes priming her for a plunge, having long lionized Hopkins as a genius grappling with genius. As the colloquy cascaded to his canon of characters, Christine cued, you've haunted us from Here's Love to Hitchcock, any role that haunts you still? Anthony unfurled a fond flashback to his 1970s Welsh woes, the band underscoring with a soft strings swell, the ambience akin to a fireside fable with fawns captured in crystalline candids for Instagram incense. The symposium sanctified the septuagenarian savant as eternal enigma, the ether electric with ebullience. Yet, as plaudits speaked and Denise drained her dregs, she darted a discerning dart, her voice velvet over vitriol. Anthony, your lecture's legendary, but let's lacerate the lore. Hannibal's hunger, a cannibalism chic or chilling critique of class carnage? In this era of elite excess, is it fact or fiction that your fame fed the frenzy? Or are we feasting on a facade? The hush hovered heavy, Anthony's joyous jaw jutting just a jot, the studio's serenity subtly surrendering to a simmering suspense, as convivial colloquy courted the cusp of conflagration. A frisson freighted the firmament as Anthony's affability altered, his blazer-clad shoulders squaring like shields in a Shakespearean skirmish, fingers furling the fabric of his trousers as if fortifying for fray. The set's subtle symphonia from the sip of spectator smoothies to the scribble of script pages stilling to a sepulchral standoff. Christine, clairvoyant to the cusp, clapped conciliatorily with a chuckle. Denise, delving deep early. Anthony, no rush off. Fancy a fond fact about your feline friends first. But Anthony, inhaling an incense of indignation, anchored his ankles and articulated with the acuity of an Antony assaying assassins. Christine, cats, charming companions, but Denise, fact or fiction? That's the fiend's filigree finessing fiction into fact while forsaking the forge. Lecter's no facade, he's fractured psyche, a prism prizing privilege's peril cannibalism, catharsis for the consumed, not chic. Fame, it fueled the fire, but the frenzy, that's the feast of fools feigning fascination with my facade. The assembly aspirated an asymmetric awe, a mosaic of murmurs melding matriarchal might with millennial mystique, as Denise's brow bridged empathy and excavation, her timbre threading the needle of nuance. Catharsis, hallelujah, your Hannibal haunts horizons from Hampstead to Hollywood. But the frenzy's fable lingers, that 1991 Oscar orbit, the Lecter lure turning you into legend while lesser lights languish. Elite excess, it's the elephant in the atelier. Fans fathom the fall? Not just the flourish. Did the class critique curdle? Or was it cannibal convenience? The horde hushed in hushed harmonics, digital disciples digitizing the dialectic as Anthony on loose women twinkled tentatively in Twitter's twilight, the sanctum sisterhood straining at the seams of scrutiny. Anthony's complexion crimsoned, not with chagrin but the char of charred chronicles, his palm pounding the plinth with percussive precision. Convenience? Denise, your convenience is contrived at coddling critiques without conjuring the crucible of creation that cooked this cannibal cauldron. Frenzy, fleeting fog. I've fogged through fogs fiercer than Freud's, from Welsh whispers to Welsh woes. You excavate like an Egyptologist tying El Dorado, a probing peril for primetime pelf. A cascade of commiserative clucks coursed the crowd. The congregation cleaved between Anthony's clarion call and Denise's tenacious truth-telling, as she countered with compassionate cadence, canting closer like a confessor in confab. Pelf, honey, this is pulpit, not plunder. I've plumbed my own pitfalls, from quarry corridors to charity crusades. Cannibal without the cauldron's critique, it's half the horror. Was Lecter's lure a liberation, or just the lamb's lament? The riposte resonated relentlessly now. Anthony's cri de coeur on commodity of caricature clashing caustically with Denise's on catharsis's currency, the cushions congealing into Colosseum corners, the gallery's glow gilding the gathering gloam. Control console consternations crackled covertly, crescendo catastrophe contending with censor. The surge, as the vibe veered from vivacious to vitriolic, the empyrean edging toward eruption. What welled as welcoming waltz warped to warring whirl, wounds widening. Anthony's Oscar odysseys and Othello obsessions versus Denise's decade-deep devotion and daytime doggedness of the discourse devolving from duet to duel, discord's decibel dialing dree. The teleprompter trembled in tacit terror as the tempest transuded, Anthony catapulting from his cove with the cataclysmic charge of a cyclone unchained, his blazer billowing like a banner of beleaguerment, vociferation vaulting to a volcanic vibrato that vanquished the venue's velvet veil. Currency? Denise, your currency's counterfeit, a cashing checks on my chasms while I chisel classics from charcoal. The cauldron's critique, it cauterized the chaos. Lecter's liberation, not lament. Your liberation's a luxury lounge, lounging on lore without the laceration. The assemblage avalanched in auroral anarchia, half hymning the hierophant's howl with hallelujahs, half haranguing the host's harried hegemonia as Denise detonated from her dais, her floral frock flaring like a flamenco of fury, retort rocketing with the resonance of a revival. Laceration? Anthony, it's laceration luxury, luxuriating in legacies while we languish in the lore you lord over. Classics without the critique, it's complacency and couture. Your Lecter's a lure, but lure is the lie we all live. Liberation, or lecturing from the lectern? Christine chivied with chivalric chimea. Time out for tea, titans. But the amplifiers amplified the apocalypse. the band's bass blanching behind barriers as the melee metastasized, yet Anthony, conflagration cresting like a cresting crevasse, commandeered a crystal carafe from the console, a chilled vessel of chamomile elixir, and upended it in umbrageous upheaval, libation laving the lapel like libation to libated liberties. Lectern? Your lectern's a lecturing legacies without the labor that live the lore. I'm no lore, I'm the labyrinth, a labyrinthine lore, while you lounge in lamplight, adieu to the autopsy. With that apoplectic apothegm, he accelerated for the aisle, adroitly dodging dazed decorators and a displaced decanter of daffodils, his entourage emerging from ether like ethereal escorts, the egress engulfing him in an eddy of echoes and extended arms. The egress echoed with an emphatic echo, etching through the enervated enclave, as Denise deflated dramatically, dabbing dew from her demeanor, her ensemble enveloping in empathy. Blimey, that was Welsh whirlwind, she wisecracked weakly, wheedling wheezy whoops from the whelmed watchers, as the broadcast barreled to banal Buffersaberry bliss bites and booty boot camp blanketing the bedlam in banality, havoc hounded hectically, handlers harvesting hydra shards, hierarchy huddling in high-stakes huddles, while Anthony storms loose women torched like tinderbox tinder, vignettes vaporizing into viral vortexes by vending vigil, glossies gorged by gloaming a hello. Hailing Anthony's hallowed heresy, the mirror musing Denise's dauntless defense, TMZ tallying the thespian tosses in trope-tastic timelines. By banquet's brink, bulletins bellowed, Hopkins's loose lament, from lector lore to labyrinth lockout. Accruing acolytes akin to Silence of the Lambs screenings. Cloistered in his castle cloister, Anthony jested over Jasmine with thespian kin, clips cascading on his console, a wry whoop welcoming the wild fury she sparred spry savor the sting. Denise, toasting with a tot of Talisker with the troupe, toasted the tumult with tenacity. Tussles tango a tumble the teacups, temper the thesp. And amid the media maelstrom, the storming sanctified to saga, another Oriataxel in the axis of affronts, where one vituperative volley vivified visions to vaulted veils, verifying that even matutinal musings can mutate to mutiny beneath the baleful blaze of broadcast's boundless bonfire.